And just the fact that they're now saying that transgenderism is somehow healthcare, and that we need to have our tax dollars go to supporting somebody mutilating their body. People today think this is somehow cool, and that it's really awesome to go and get a gender change. And the truth is that there are only male chromosomes and female chromosomes. There is no it chromosomes. And just the word it is degrading to another human. But if they're not a male or a female, what are they?
There it is, Beavis. When I look at that, I see fat stacks of cash.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's too high, butthead.
Try knocking it down with this big fork thing.
Okay.
Ugh! That's what you're doing, asswipe.
Yeah, sorry.
Ow!
Considering that plastic takes forever to decompose and we've basically built a new mini continent from all of our discarded plastic and the tiny version of plastic that's in our blood now.
Wow, that blew my mind!
Why are marginalized people so unwilling to have calm, philosophical debates about whether they should have rights? Are they afraid of dangerous ideas?
Good morning, my beauties and bees. It is live from the Hive Saturday morning. I am so happy to see you here. It is a somber morning though, but I want to take just a moment starting the show off today to just take a moment to remember our dear friend Dargendorp. It was brought to my attention early this morning that our friend Dargendorp, who is a European, I believe that he was, I don't want to speculate about where he's from. I think he was German though. I believe he was from Germany. We hadn't communicated much recently, but he was instrumental in the early days of the Hive in making sure that I had the proper equipment that I needed to do what I had planned for this channel. Robbie, MathPig, introduced me to Dargendorp, and Dargendorp assisted with picking out my computer software and what kind of technology we need. Not this computer, but the original Hive 1.0 computer. Which this model was also based on. Those went hand in hand. So that is a loss of friendship in the Hive. And I was actually in the chat. We were, if y'all don't know, Matt Delahunty and Arden Hart have a snake channel called Epic Loot Exotics. And me also being an exotics breeder and trader, and well, I'm not trader so much these days, but coming soon, hopefully. I did get my mealworm farm. I'll get to that in a second. But he was in there with us, with me, and Matt was weighing his snakes. Small chat, kind of intimate actually. Matt was actually, engaging with us one-on-one in the chat when Dargendorp was there. Before he went to bed, he told us good night as he went to bed and passed away in his sleep. So that did happen recently. So I'm going to give just a moment of silence here for Dargendorp. All right, thank you so much. He will be missed. He dropped by the Hive every now and then, especially when I did something live in the evenings. Like when I believe he was in the chat when I had Pat on a couple weeks ago, and he was in the chat when I had Megan on and died. I don't remember any other specific chats that he was a part of, but he's always been supportive of my work here. So you will be missed, Dargendorp. Thank you so much for all that you've done through your life for our community and to help us grow and connect better. So thank you, my friend. If you might not be able to see because it's so tiny, but we actually do have a little mic mantis today. Just like so tiny. I need to get like a mic mantis cam where I just zoom in on it, and I will do that eventually, I think. But this is a ghosty. We do have a ghosty here. They're not quite as grabby as the green mantises, but I'll see if I can get her going throughout the day. She is doing some rocking, so I picked the lighter colored one. Usually that's a good idea, but maybe because I'm wearing white, that's a bad idea. But you guys can see that it's just so tiny. She's about as big as my fingernail right now, maybe a little bit bigger. She's about thumbnail sized. Yeah, she's about thumbnail sized, but I thought she was big enough to be out and about and just hang out on them, because these guys are pretty sedentary anyway. I have to go get fruit flies today and pick up my meds. I think this is the first time I'm going to go out with my hair like this, out into the big scary world. So I haven't wore this hair out yet. So let's see, and let me just read a couple. If anybody had any thoughts or any commentaries or any engagements with Dargendorp, definitely feel free to put them in the chat, and I will read them out. Let's see, Das Belide, R.I.P. Dargendorp. That's from Tsunami. Kind of ran in the same circles. I know Tsunami likes to pop into those atheist debate chats as well. So maybe they did know each other. I hope anybody who did know him has fond memories. Anyhow, I don't want to hold anything up too much more because we have a lot to get through this morning. I got debate stuff to talk about, but I don't have time right now. We'll do it at the end of the show, okay? Because if you caught last night's show, you know that I was itching to. I've been itching to have a debate just because there's things I want to talk about and have an actual audience for. So debate gives me that format, but right now we need to get into Cryptic Corner, because this morning that's what it's all about. So I will see you guys over there. Hello and welcome to Cryptic Corner. Thank you for joining me this evening as we look at the dark and unexplained world of cryptozoology, to the supernatural, the haunted, the accursed, the alien, the lost, and the forbidden. And we try to see if we can't put a skeptical lens to some of these claims. I'm glad you're here to join me tonight, and as always, this is recorded live from the Hive, so please do say hello to my live from the Hive audience, and if you are a member of both audiences, say hi to yourself. Say hi to yourself in the future. Give yourself some tips and tricks in the side chat. No, not really, but thank you so much for joining me. This is the first of a series that I'm throwing together. It'll all go together in a playlist when it's done. But this is the first in a series of videos I'm doing that all center in or zero in on one event. Somebody has a big motor there. On that one event, and that is going to be a pinnacle. So during from the 1940s through the 1960s, it seems like every small town had an encounter with some unknown creature from beyond the stars, beyond the dimensions. Are these visitors from? They're always strange. You know, there's the typical UFO experience, which based around or start with the Barney and Betty Hill encounter. You get your typical gray aliens, standard saucer-shaped UFOs, that sort of thing. But in the other spectrum of it, the more bizarre spectrum of it, you get things like, well, the Flatwood Monster with its giant spade-shaped head, the Loveland frog that we just talked about a couple weeks ago. You get insectoids and lizard people, these bizarre anomalies that appear, terrorize or confuse a small town of people, and then just disappear into the annals of history and never be seen again, or maybe be seen on some kind of unexplainable time cycle every 30 years, every 28 years, every 17 years, like Pennywise the Clown and Stephen King's It. In every little town, you know, they'll have these, but there's one that stands out among all of them. But the weird thing about this one, and he may be the only one that fits this criteria, is that he was not alone. But before we get to the main event, we need to lay the groundwork. Because there was a completely different visitor in this scenario that doesn't get the limelight at all in this situation. And maybe they should. Because maybe they're even a little bit more bizarre than their counterpart. So, let's look into some of these sightings of this Should I call him a creature? Should I call him a person? I'm not even sure how to categorize this this sighting. How to put it into a group? Is it? We'll call him an entity. Today we're going to explore the entity known as Indrid Cold.
It's your only happiness. And I told him my name, and when I told him my name, he said he was called Cold. That was the name that he was called by.
There is a man who is not of this world. He has been seen by some, he has spoken to others, and has attacked an unlucky few. His name is Indrid Cold.
Cryptid Central is the channel we're watching today. I'm gonna get another mantis out too, because these guys can be around each other. They don't freak out like other mantises might. So we're gonna have actually two mantises on here. I'm pulling a little. Hold on, let me blow myself back up. Yeah, so got my dark guy and my light guy. So dark and light will be battling it out on my microphone. There we go.
Indrid Cold, also known as the Grinning Man. He is said to come from the planet Lanulos in the Ganymede galaxy, 14.6 light years away from Earth. He is what he calls a searcher. Quite what this means is unknown. Some say that he is a member of the secret Men in Black organization. Others say that he is an alien visitor who is simply curious about us humans and is interested in learning all he can about humanity. Indrid Cold is said to have a human-like appearance.
Alright, so, yeah, doing my due diligence and trying to stop and insert some commentary here, because I don't want to rip off this channel at all and say, hey, I'm just stealing your content, but I do like they put all the images together that I was going to use anyway. These are the popular images of Indrid Cold that you see in used in media and documentaries. He's been depicted several ways. There are actually, hold on. There's like every little wiki has, you know, all these same pictures in it and whatnot. Just to break it down for you, just so you know what I'm working with here. All right, let's continue.
In his first sighting, he was described as being over 6 feet tall and wearing a reflective green suit with a black belt.
Now, I actually like this depiction of Bast here, where he doesn't have the facial features, because the first sighting by these boys that saw him behind a chain link fence, they described him this way, but they may be a completely different set of sightings, really, once we dive, and we're going to dive into it.
He had a dark complexion, like that of a person who had spent a lot of time in the sun. He was also described as having small, beady eyes that were set far apart. In his first known encounter with humans, Indrid Cold appeared not to have a nose, any ears, or any hair on his face or head. He was much more alien in appearance, conforming more with traditional descriptions of aliens, such as the Greys, who have only nostrils and no noses, and no ears or hair. In his second known encounter, his suit was said to be blue instead of green.
The man who laughed, is that what you're talking about, Tsunami? Or the guy who had the permanent smile on his face? It's kind of it's almost a Quasimodo like story. It's a silent film though. Go watch it. It's a silent film. It's some moving and chilling. It's from the Impressionist era. So think like Nosferatu and that kind of film. I'm talking about what Tsunami's mentioning here. And yeah, he's a tortured character. He's almost a Quasimodo or, there was in the silent film era that was really a poignant. And you look at that, a lot of the silent film era movies are about this concept of a character, a disfigured character, or the character that looks like horrific in some way. Quasimodo, Phantom of the Opera, The Man Who Laughs. I can't remember what his name was. He's not like an unknown character though. He fits right into this archetype of scorned, disfigured people in love. That was a very popular topic in the film in the early silent, or the late, I shouldn't say early, in the late silent film era, 1920, but I'm saying, maybe roll it back to the 1919 to 1933. Dracula kind of broke the mold by coming in with color, but he even fits that archetype to an extent. Fritz Lang, thank you. Thank you, Stephanie Helms. Yes. So that was popular at the time, and yeah, they often use his image as an image for Indrid Cold, even though Indrid Cold's not really described much the same as the Man Who Laughed, or the Joker for that matter.
But still retained its reflective properties. This was not the only difference, however. This time he was described as looking more or less in line with a human being's appearance, now having a nose and ears.
Right, and this is why I'm like, I do like Indrid Cold lore, and I like the concept that, oh yeah, he becomes more and more human-like as it goes along. But in all honesty, this sounds like it's describing encounters with two different types of people, or two different entities, or what have you. The one with the faceless one with the beady eyes and no facial features, just beady eyes and a big grin on a blank faceless head. That comes from the sighting of two. There were two boys that saw him behind a chain link fence. That's what the image from my thumbnail is, the way he's described. That's my personal favorite depiction of him, because he looks more alien, and I do like the aesthetic of the just eyes and a big smile like that. I think it's creepy. I think that someone should make a comic book about it, because I like the way it's drawn there. But that being said, this sighting is only linked to the other Indrid Cold sightings by the fact that the person was smiling, and it's in the same area. Also, if you want my honest opinion, it was I feel like it was a post hoc addition to it. So does that mean it was okay? So Indrid Cold was first seen on October 16th, 1966, when two boys, Martin and James, so Martin is nicknamed Mouse, apparently, in New Jersey, so not in the same area of the Derenberger encounters, which we're going to get to, which we're kind of into right now. So in a completely different part of the country, right? The only thing that it has in common with the rest of these sightings is that it's on the mid-Atlantic coast.
Ears. He had also grown hair, which was slicked back, and wore a coat with the top two buttons undone, with
Jeff, Godless Scummer, if you're just gonna keep dropping spoilers in my chat, I'm just joking. Yeah, you're right. This is Indrid Cold, the same entity from the Mothman prophecy. Yes, Mothman is the big show. Indrid Cold is kind of a character on the fringe, but Indrid Cold has more legacy than Mothman, because Mothman has his Point Pleasant legacy, and then maybe some key pinpoint sightings in ufology. Indrid Cold has a nation, at least a nation spreading or spanning nation spanning presence in encounter and abduction scenarios. You know, he's been encountered multiple times throughout history. He's one of these guys, though, that's like I was saying, that shows up in sporadic bursts, and that's why people think, oh, he's a government agent or something, or he's that he changes his appearance to suit people's conceptions of what they expect a agent to look like, or something along those lines. There's a lot of lore to it.
Trousers that seemed to be made of the same unearthly material. He was again described as being quite tanned, though not dark, and looking like any normal human being, albeit with an enormous grin. The fact that Cold had gained a more natural-looking appearance, more in line with how human beings generally look, would suggest that he has some shape-shifting abilities, or access to an advanced technology that allows him to mimic the appearance of humans.
He needs to give that shape-shifting technology to Bigfoot, right? Maybe Bigfoot does have that, and that's why she's like, oh crap, turn into a bear or a skunk or whatever. if it's the smell, turn into a skunk. If they see you, turn into a bear. If they hear you, turn into an elk. Yeah, that's just standard Bigfoot requirements. I mean, they need that type of equipment just to go into the field.
On the second day of November 1966, in Parkersburg, West Virginia, a sewing machine salesman by the name of Woodrow Derenberger, who would come to be...
Here we go, Derenberger time. I want a Derenberger with extra cheese today, Mr. Cold.
Synonymous with the legend of Indrid Cold, was driving home on Interstate 77 when he was overtaken by another vehicle. Behind the overtaking vehicle was a strangely shaped UFO. The UFO then moved in front of Mr. Derenberger's truck and began to slow down.
It seems like when they describe this, when you listen to Derenberger's actual interview, and I may do, that's what I'm thinking, like maybe doing something like that after the show, just listening to the interview or something. If you guys are down for that, maybe we can. But the thing about the description of the UFO, though, is it's almost more like a hovercraft, the way it's described, or like a hover car.
Forcing Mr. Derenberger to slow down also until he had come to a complete stop. Mr. Derenberger sat stationary, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. He described the UFO as looking like an old-fashioned kerosene lamp chimney, flaring at both ends, narrowing down to a small neck, and then enlarging in a great bulge in the center. Mr. Derenberger was still trying to make sense of what was happening when suddenly...
Looks like who's the artist that draws the Gorillas, the music group, the Gorillas. This looks like he's got teeth like 2D. Or no, his teeth are more like Murdoch's.
An automatic door began to open on the strange craft. This bizarre event was about to get even stranger. From inside the strangely shaped UFO emerged what looked like a man with
You see how many art pieces they're done about just this? Yeah, his spaceship is like kind of like a sausage with the ends tied, like an old-timey sausage where you still had the clips on the ends or whatever.
Tanned skin and an enormous, unusually large grin. The grinning man walked up to Derenberger and began to communicate with him, though not by speaking. The man telepathically asked Derenberger to roll down the window of his truck, which he did. The strange entity then asked what his name was, and after he told him, the strange visitor said his name was Cold. Cold seemed to be non-aggressive, and he told Derenberger that he meant him no harm and only wished him happiness.
Yeah, when Darren Berger recounts this tale, he keeps saying over and over again that he kept telling me not to be scared, but I was terrified, which, you know, in this, considering the situation, I would be too. Because the story way he tells it is, he had this thing come up behind him, that it then turned and blocked the road. He gave him plenty of time to slow down, though. It was like happening in front of him, and he, when it stopped and blocking the road, he pulled over off the road to try to get around it, but he couldn't. And then the door opened like a car door, not like a spaceship door, not steps didn't come down or anything like that. It's opened like a vehicle door, swung forward, and he stepped in. Cold stepped out, walked over to the vehicle, telepathically asked him to roll down his window. So he rolled down the window, and they had their conversation. So, yeah, I would be scared, too, in that situation. Yeah, seems like a reasonable response.
Darren Berger then reported that Cold asked him what the nearby town was called, while not pointing to the nearby town of Parkersburg physically, but somehow doing so telepathically. Darren Berger told him the name of the town, and Cold then asked if all the people lived there, to which Darren Berger told him that the town proper was mostly comprised of workplaces, and that people generally lived in the outskirts of the town. In their brief telepathic conversation, Cold said he simply wanted...
And there's more lore to this, too. He's like, he says, oh, in my world, those are called gatherings. So I'm wondering if gatherings, if they use gather, which is what Jay Bundy's using. So is Jay Bundy from Lanulos? These are the questions I need answered. Is Jay even with me today? I don't know if he's here this morning or not. I was just teasing him, but yeah, anyway. Fixing my...
to know more about the human race, and that he would be visiting Darren Berger again. Darren Berger stated that during this telepathic conversation, Cold revealed his planet of origin, Lanulos, in the Ganymede galaxy. Lanulos, some 14.6 light-years from Earth in the Ganymede galaxy of stars, was originally...
It's time to go to Lanulos. Lanulos. So this is Lanulos is specific to the Darren Berger sighting. Now, so keep that in mind. Everything that we have here. Good morning, Scott Duke. Everything that we have here is a product of Darren Berger. Okay, it doesn't seem to correlate with any of the other sightings.
Originally settled eons ago by people from Earth. Many thousands of years ago, human beings were
I got my voice back now. Thank you for your concern.
Capable of space travel. Our knowledge of space travel, however, had been lost somewhere down the line and only recently rediscovered. Their new planet was much like Earth, though the yearly cycle had only 3 seasons: planting, harvest, and cold. It seemed that now humans had regained their knowledge of space travel, and with radio communications now being sent out into space 24/7, the Lanulosians had found us. Now back in contact, the
Ganymede is also a galaxy? Did you say Ganymede galaxy? Is Ganymede a galaxy? Let's see. Ganymede is, yeah, it's a moon. I thought it was a moon of Jupiter. Let's rewind that. Is that what he said? I didn't even catch
and
that.
Only recently rediscovered. Their new originally settled eons ago by some 14.6 light-years from Earth in the Ganymede galaxy of stars, was originally settled eons ago by people from Earth. Many thousands of years ago, human beings were capable of space travel.
I'm researching this right now. Ganymede galaxy. Yeah. Ganymede galaxy. Okay. A Found references to Ganymede, Galaxy, and lots of fictional worlds. Good catch, Dr. Tapioca Weasel. That's why I keep freaking geniuses in my chat. That's why I keep you here. We got Injured Cold up on the screen. I'm over here in my other screen looking at Ganymede as a galaxy, trying to find any kind of reference to it, and I only find fictional references, which is, I guess, created galaxy. Yeah. Let me look at the. Excuse me. Let me look at the sighting information here and see. There's a different spelling here. It's not Ganymede. So let me try this one. I think maybe the author, the person here, saying it wrong. It's different. It's a different. It kind of seems the same. It's Ganymedes, and I think it's fictional, like Lanulos. I don't think it's a real place. Yeah, Lanulos is an imaginary planet known only from the account by flying saucer contactee Woodrow Derenberger, who claimed to have flown there on a spaceship in 1996. A being, why does it say 1996? Should be 1966, right? 1966. I think that's a typo. Anyway, yeah, let's continue on the video. So it's all fictional.
Our knowledge of space travel, however, had been lost somewhere down the line and only recently rediscovered. Their new planet was much like Earth, though the yearly cycle had only 3 seasons: planting, harvest, and cold. It seemed that now humans had regained their knowledge of space travel, and with radio communications now being sent out into space 24/7, the Lanulosians had found us. Now back in contact, the Lanulosians who had made their way to Earth could easily pass for human. On October 6th...
Easily pass for humans, except for their sparkly suits, their levitating lemon drop candy wrapper spaceships scooting around, cutting off traffic, and their giant grins and their sparkly spacesuits. Pass completely for human. You don't even know they're there. You don't even see them.
16th, 1966, Indrid Cold was seen for the first time when 2 boys, Martin Munov and James Yanchitis from New Jersey, were walking on 4th Street when they saw a surreal figure standing near a fence.
So he was trying to make a deal with the Jersey Devil, but he couldn't get it going, so he went down to Virginia.
As they walked closer, they saw that the figure was a tall, bald man with no ears or nose, and was wearing a metal green suit. He was staring right at them with an enormous grin. The strange man then began to...
There's nothing that says he's all wrinkly and gross. He could have been like freaking sexy for all we know. Just had the no nose and no eyes. You can be sexy with no nose and no eyes, right? Right?
chase them until they managed to get away. UFO sightings were also reported around the area at this time. It could be that this was Indrid Cold's first attempt at contact and communication with humans.
Doesn't it seem convenient that this thing looks nothing and sounds nothing like the descriptions of the other Indrid Colds, doesn't describe himself as Indrid Cold, is nowhere near where the other Indrid Cold sightings took place, but we are supposed to accept that the possibility exists that this is the same entity for the only reason that it had a big grin and its different colored suit was sparkly.
His first visit would mean perhaps that he was somewhat ignorant of the ways of human beings. To suddenly start running at someone could, perhaps, be a perfectly acceptable way of approaching another person.
Let's clarify, he's not suddenly running at someone. He's suddenly running at some children, right? That's yeah.
On Lanyulos.
That's not a way to make contact.
On Earth, however, it would be taken as threatening. His appearance also would be enough to startle most people on Earth. It could be that after this encounter, he learned that his natural appearance with no nose and ears would need to be adjusted in order to not frighten people away. After taking this information on board,
you think you could have learned that without scaring little kids? You know, oh man, I realize now that if I approach children at night looking like this, they'll run away screaming. It's that uncanny valley effect, really. But I mean, as I've said before, I think that this sighting is not related at all to Indrid Cold, but it is a weird sighting.
It would seem that he was ready to try again, and at this point managed to contact and communicate with Woodrow Derenberger. 2 days after the first conversation with Indrid Cold, while driving in his car, Derenberger began to receive a telepathic communication from the man he had seen earlier.
It's not really like a butt plug, though. It looks more like a it's got like, it does kind of, there is I could see the resemblance there, but it's got like the knobbed end there, the other end of the butt plug on both ends. It's like a double-ended butt plug, but not in the fun way.
He supplied some information about his life, including the observation that people on his planet lived from 125 to 175 Earth years. Over the next few weeks, other stories would accumulate that substantiated at least parts of Derenberger's story.
I think that this one's to tie in with Mothman and stuff, to say, Indrid Cold, Green Man is also Mothman. That is some of the lore that Mothman's is Indrid Cold's true form. But I don't know if I like that lore or not. I don't think. Sex toy or spaceship, that should be a game. We should add that into the intermissions.
Including independent UFO sightings on November 4th. Throughout this period, Derenberger's direct contacts with Indrid Cold continued. He learned much about Cold's people and their desire for friendly contact with the people of Earth. In 1967, Cold took Derenberger to visit the planet Lanyulos.
Here's where it gets fun. Good old Derenberger on his way in the spaceship, like little Einstein, crossing the galaxy, going out to good old Lanyulos.
Same time in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Indrid Cold seemed to also be attempting to contact people other than Woodrow Derenberger. The Lilly family of Point...
And see, this is where it ties into Mothman. This is the only part right here that ties into Mothman. In the movie, The Mothman Prophecies, it made it sound like Derenberger was part of that scenario. He was in a completely different situation, in a completely different city, Parkersburg, West Virginia. It is in the same state, obviously, as the Mothman sightings, but the Derenberger situation was separate. He was a contactee separate from the Mothman situation, and he was doing this live in your face. He was having these encounters and doing interviews about them as they were taking place.
Pleasant had been reporting poltergeist activity in their home. One night, the Lilly's daughter, Linda, was sleeping and awoke to find a man standing over her. Linda Lilly reported that she couldn't see his face very well, but could see that he was grinning at her. He then walked around the bed and stood right over her. She screamed again and hid under the covers, and when she looked again, he was gone. At this point in the late 1960s, in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, another well-known cryptid was said to be in the area.
It's a Mothman time! Drop your Mothmans if you're a channel member. Drop your Mothmans into the side chat now. He's coming. He's coming. He's here. Show some love. It is.
And was being sighted quite frequently. the Mothman, a large flying creature with glowing red eyes that was said to appear in areas where disasters were soon to occur. The Mothman was sighted in Point Pleasant only days before the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge, which killed 46 people.
I'm not. Wait,
The fact
wait.
that
Hold
both
on.
the Mothman
I don't want anybody to infer that I was celebrating the Silver Bridge collapse. I was not doing that. I was celebrating Mothman because he's my favorite. Yeah, Mothman's my secret boyfriend. He comes and visits me at night. I have had Mothman dreams at some point.
and Indrid Cold were in Point Pleasant at the same time is a point of interest for many researchers. Could it be that Indrid Cold was connected to the Mothman in some way?
If you really want it to be.
Cold related to Derenberger that the people of Lanulos are religious and believe in one god. They have a spoken language but tend to communicate via telepathy. They have no crime or war. Their government is loosely organized around a 56-person guiding council whose members are elected.
Why 56, Mr. Derenberger?
Every 6 months. If a member proves unfit,
How are there 6 months if there's only 3 seasons? I need to know more about Lanulos and its orbit and seasons. Because how many months are there? Are there months based around a 28-day lunar cycle? Do they have a moon that makes months a thing? Do they have a sun with years? Because you said people live this many years. Is that Earth? You really does the Earth years? Are Lanulos's years the same as Earth years? Given these time scales, right? We need to understand. I think Derenberger might have been. I don't want to assume his mental health condition, but I have a lot of questions about what he's telling us about Lanulos.
he or she is dismissed and another elected to fill the vacancy. Marriage is common among the Lanulosians. Cold indicated to Woodrow Derenberger that he had a wife and 2 children. Cold also told Derenberger that the Lanulosians, while not warlike, were engaged in business and desired to establish trade with Earth. However, they found their
So they're kind of like Vogans. They're here to do business. They're gonna bureaucrat and whatnot.
attempts to form a relationship rebuffed. They had approached the American government but found officials unwilling to guarantee their safety. On occasions when they had attempted to land, they had been met with hostility, and Cold indicated that he had received wounds from a shotgun on one occasion.
All right, who shot Indrid Cold with a shotgun? Was he? And I got a question. Was he coming running at them in a sparkly suit with no nose or ears and his big scary mouth? If he come running at them like that, why does he not expect to get shot at?
Derenberger told his story frequently over the next few years, and in 1971, with the assistance of Harold W. Hubbard, he authored a book-length account of his adventures. Visitors
Got his Ray-Bans on like he's the Men in Black, yo.
from Lanulos. His story was also given extended treatment by writer John A. Keel, author of the Mothman Prophecies. In April 2021,
Yeah, Derenberger wrote a book about his encounter. A lot of people do that. It's almost like people do this stuff for financial gain. Like the main people that come to mind when I think of this is the Lutzes of Amityville horror fame, but the Lorraine and is it George Warren? Oh, Ed Warren, or Ed and Lorraine Warren. Yes, I feel like they're falling into that category too. I should make Amy Newman come and watch a documentary on the Warrens with me sometime, because I see Amy out there about their Amityville grift and so much more.
Indrid Cold contacted a Mothman witness, an anonymous woman from upstate New York, USA, who only gave the name Jessica, had been witness to a large flying creature with a 12-foot wingspan, red glowing eyes, and appeared
That's our boy! Woo! Love you, Mothman.
Not to have a head, although it was humanoid in shape. She described this as a dark, flying man. After reporting these sightings, she described receiving strange phone calls. On each of these phone calls, the caller ID stated the name Indrid Cold, with no other information being displayed. On these phone calls,
and this is where they get the scene, the best scene in my opinion in Mothman Prophecies. When he's locked in his hotel room with the windows drawn and everything, he's asked the person on the phone what's in his hand. That's where this comes from. This is where that comes from. Yeah.
Reports that Indrid Cold warned her not to talk about her recent Mothman sightings, telling her that she saw nothing, in a voice that she described as sounding like it was coming through gritted teeth, like that of a huge grin. Strange stuff indeed. It has long been theorized that human beings in the distant past.
So yeah, that is the best scene in the movie Mothman Prophecy, when Richard Gere's down beside the bed and he's got it's chapstick, right? He has a tube of chapstick in his hand. It's like, if you're real, what am I holding in my hand?
Past may have been much more advanced than we give them credit for, even more advanced than we are today. If humans managed to leave the Earth all those years ago and settled elsewhere, it's entirely possible that they could have found their way back, and that Indrid Cold could be a member of this race of people. If there are aliens among us who look like we do and are barely distinguishable from the average person, then it may explain the recent boom in technological advances we have seen over the past 20 years.
Yeah, Indrid Cold gave us the CD player, guys.
The smartphone you use every day, the tablet you own, the internet, and even the device you're using to watch this video could all be in existence because of beings like Indrid Cold.
Yes, all right. What that say about the government? Hold on. I have to go back to that. If the government is covering up knowledge of aliens, they are doing a better job of it than they do anything else. Stephen Hawking. No, Stephen Hawking. I always put an S on the end of that. And Dr. Tapioca Weasel always corrects me. Hawking. Stephen Hawking. All right. So that was, let me give the channel a plug. Cryptid Central. 4.4K, so a small channel, a little bit larger than mine though. Yeah, I do cryptozoology videos and stuff like that. So when I revisit it, I kind of liked his voice and his art style with using the slides and just doing some Photoshop stuff on them. So yeah, I like that. That was a good video. Kind of broke down the narrative for us and gave us some fun topics to hack apart. I hope you all liked that too. Thank you so much for joining us in Cryptic Corner. If you think that Indrid Cold was the Mothman, let us know in the comments below. If you think Indrid Cold is unrelated to Mothman at all, but have a different theory about his origin than what's been presented here today, definitely feel free to comment. If you're watching this on Friday night, thank you so much for joining me for Cryptic Corner, and we really appreciate you. And please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time. Now, for my live from the Hive audience, yes, you out there in the audience live with me right now, do not leave. This is not the end of the show. This is just the first part of the show. We have a lot more live from the Hive to come at you, and I hope that you stick around for it, because up next, we are going to shift things into a more serious gear with a very special CreationWatch. But I will see you guys over there. Yeah, enjoy this. I think this is a new one. We'll see.
Good morning, afternoon, or night, my moth friends. Today I will be addressing a very serious topic to moths and discrimination against moths. So, you may know that there is only a butterfly emoji, no moth emoji. And this is a very serious topic to moths. If we have a moth emoji, moths and moth fans alike will feel much better and will not be have taken a step closer to not be discriminated against. Butterflies get all the love, and I will now show some moth pictures on screen to show you just how cute moths can really be. Please don't be afraid of moths like they're just some bug, but think that butterflies are pretty. They get a lot of the attention, and it's really important to us moths that we will get as much as the love that moths and butterflies and everyone has. It is very important to all insects alike. I will put a link in the description for you to sign a petition about adding a moth emoji to get one step closer to moth love throughout the world. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to CreationWatch. Thank you so much for joining us today, this evening, as we dive into yet another mind-melting session of exploring the, this time, inner brains of a young Earth creationist. So, this is going to be a doozy. So hang in there. Because this is going to get a little bit topical too. I don't usually do a lot of topical stuff, but when I saw that my favorite bigot was throwing his hat once again into the ring of trans issues, I didn't have a choice but to engage. He doesn't deserve the title of my nemesis by any means, but this is Matt Powell's take on the Mr. Beast situation. So let's hear what the brain trust over here at Matt Powell Official have to say on the matter. If you are disturbed or upset by anti-trans rhetoric, please take this as the warning to go ahead and just step out now. We will be doing HiveScience will be coming up generally at between in about an hour, between 11:30 and noon is when we generally start HiveScience. So come back at 12:30 if you're Central Standard Time. If that's going to be something that disturbs you. But moving forward, gloves are off, warnings are off. I haven't watched this thoroughly, so we are going to. I did watch it and make sure there was no like slurs and stuff used, but we're gonna break it down. So, actually, do I need to give some history? Do I need to give some history on Matt Powell Official? I think maybe I should just give a quick breakdown. So let me go into Matt Powell's page real quick and show you why I keep this jackass on my radar. So scrolling down through here, this is his most recent video, the one that's coming up here. But if you go into his videos and scroll down through here, you will notice somebody familiar here and here. This was the target towards me. These are just short clips, though, right? These are just little segments cut out of a longer, more volatile sermon that was given that may or may not still be available on his like Rumble account, where he does call for the violence against trans people, for government sanctioned violence against the trans community. He calls for it loudly with my image on the screen. So, if you guys think that Bree, you need to just let Matt Powell die, as long as he's still got his voice and he's still doing this to people, because I'm a big girl and I can handle him, but somebody who's more fragile than me, maybe not. And yeah, people kind of think that I'm super fragile, maybe a bit, but the fact remains that, you know, I'm not fragile for me, I'm fragile for other people. When you see me getting upset about something that's transphobic, I'm never upset because it hurts me directly. I'm upset because it hurts people who are in the closet right now and not able to be their true selves, because this language is the language of the land right now. So he has some opinions on Chris Tyson from the Mr. Beast channel in his transition. If you all haven't been having your finger on the pulse, or if you don't engage in social media too much, the right has lost their mind over two trans women in the last fortnight, last 2 weeks. Okay, Chris Tyson and Dylan Mulvaney. The fact that there are trans women represented in the mainstream now, like that we actually have mainstream representation in the world, is really upsetting to people. These women specifically are being accused of grifting and all sorts of the worst kind of things. So I don't generally dive into this topic a lot. The only time I've ever talked about transitioning and transgenderism on my channel has mainly been about my personal journey. I haven't really dove into activism here in the Hive. I think that is to my detriment, because tied in with what we talk about here in CreationWatch, where we talk about these people with bad ideas about the nature of the universe. Their bad ideas are dangerous because in their worldview, we are lesser as trans women. Trans men aren't even on these people's radar, but trans women, we are enemy number one. And right now, it's a scary time to be trans. Let's dive right in, though, and see what Matt Powell has to say about Mr. Beast and his friend Chris. Oh, hold on. We'll get it going here in just a second. Is this picking up headphones?
And he's... Mr. Beast is probably the most famous YouTuber on the planet. He's got over 149 million subscribers, and he's considered the most successful YouTuber out there. But recently, his right-hand man, Chris Tyson, came out as transgender. Now, most people are condemning Chris's behavior, but some people are accepting it and even promoting it. And that includes...
Where are you getting the impression that most people in your echo chamber are? Mr. Beast has... how many millions of subscribers does Mr. Beast have right now? Let's look him up. Let's see. YouTube. Mr. Beast. So Mr. Beast, 149 million subscribers. That's ridiculous. Whoa. That's like huge. So 149 million people going strong here. And yeah, your echo chamber is wrong. Most people don't give a crap or are affirming to trans people. I work I live in a rural area of the country, right? Very very conservative even, and even someone like me, in a big office that I work in, surrounded by hundreds of people. No one has no one is standing up against me. No one is like, oh, I don't affirm this person. And you might say, oh, that's because they're afraid of social backlash. Yes, that's how this works. If they have a problem with it, they keep their mouth shut because that's how this works. The same thing if I was black, right, and they had a problem with me. You wouldn't say, well, the black people who don't like black people just are the majority. They just don't speak up. You wouldn't say, you wouldn't make that. Like, maybe you would. I don't know. But I would say, no, that's just in your head that you think that these marginalized people are really actually hated. We're just not allowed to say it or some crap.
Includes Mr. Beast himself. He is promoting this, and he said on Twitter that all of this transphobia is starting to really piss me off.
Me too. Me too, Matt. You're starting to piss me off. It's, well, you went well beyond pissing me off, honey. But, we'll get there. You are a fundamentally misogynistic person, right? So, from your position, women are lesser in your book, right? We are the spawn of man. So, you want to make it out like the Chris Tyson's the problem. People like you are the problem. People devaluing women down to their basic reproductive role and saying that's what woman means. Somebody who can fill or is supposed to, or biologically that you feel they were supposed to fill this reproductive role, and that's all they are, and that's what woman means. It's disgusting to me. Women, all the women in my life, them being women in my life at the core had nothing ever to do with whether or not they could reproduce. Even my own mother, her impact on my existence is not limited to the fact that she was physically able to reproduce and make me. It wouldn't matter if she had picked me up out of a river in a basket like the baby Moses, right? Her reproduction process had nothing to do with her being a good woman and being a good mother. And I need to hydrate, and my water bottle is empty. I got one more drink in here. That's all you're gonna get, Bugbot. Sorry. All right, let me get off my soapbox for just a second.
Tyson claims that he actually did this for his son. Check out this tweet. He said, "I know I'm going to be a great parent, and so is every other person who puts the love of their child before everything. I made this decision because I wanted to show up as my best and happiest self for him. In a way, this was for Tucker."
Right. The only judgment I have here is him naming his kid Tucker. That's just because I have a deep-seated repulsion to the name Tucker. I don't know what the reason is. I've like scoured my history. Like, why does the name Tucker just stick in my throat? Tucker. Yeah. What is it about that name that grates on my nerves? But anyway, let's read this tweet in a more personable tone. "I know I'm going to be a great parent, and so is every other person who puts the love of their child before everything. I made this decision because I wanted to show up as my best and happiest self for him. In a way, this is for Tucker. I feel the same way about my decisions in my life. So it makes it, and I'm still working on building me. I'm still building the best breed right now. But at the end of it, I hope that my best self will be shining forward, and that I think that that will help my relationship with my children. I think it will help me to be my best self with them, so that they can be in a healthy relationship with me moving forward, as opposed to me struggling to keep a mask up that keeps falling off.
And he also went on to post a picture of his 2-year-old son in high heels with a caption that said, "Tucker chose to slay this morning." Now, this is just...
What's wrong with this? Does Matt... You do have kids, right, Matt? Do your kids not, like, get silly clothes out and put all kinds of clothes on? Because, I mean, right now, at the age of Chris's kids, there's no reason why they would need... They would need dressy shoes, but they want to wear dressy shoes. Maybe Tucker wants to wear a bow tie the next day. You don't know. Do you not have kids? Maybe he wants to wear a cowboy hat and rain boots. What if he wants to wear suspenders that are attached to his socks?
more proof that the transgender folks that can't figure out what gender they are.
Staff actually, with Chris, it's not misgendering. I'm sure Matt wouldn't care if it did, but Chris accepts all pronouns. As far as the last I checked. The last time I checked.
They're so delusional that they're not safe around kids.
What could motivate this? What even, how does one go from this, having a beautiful family, and just throwing it all away for this? It's
some people realize that they are not living living life as their best self. Either through, and Chris has said that it was that, he had some therapy and been focusing on his mental health a lot, is where, Tux, I see that you just mentioned Standing for Truth and Matt Powell. I actually reached out to Standing for Truth about a debate with Ken Hovind. So I'm still waiting for a response on that. I'll have to check my emails. But yeah, if you don't want to stick around for this, that's okay. We'll be back with, again, I said this topic's not going to be for my everyday audience. This is a little bit different than the topics we usually cover in CreationWatch. It's usually silly science stuff, but yeah, I couldn't just let this not be addressed.
exactly what the description says. This is degeneracy.
To take away the opportunity.
What do you mean by degeneracy, though? Yeah, what was I saying? People come into this situation, right, where they go through their mental health care and their introspection, and they realize that, hey, and we're allowed to. The thing is we've always been here. There's always been people like me. I spent 20 years thinking, yeah, what this snobby girl is saying. I spent years thinking, oh, this is just degeneracy. There's something wrong with my brain. And it's only been in the last, about 3 or 4 years that I started to say, oh my gosh, no, it's just I'm actually one of these people that I keep hearing about in all the media. That's what's going on with me. Oh my gosh. And it started to click, and I started talking to my doctors about it. Like, oh my gosh. And I imagine the same kind of situation may have happened with Chris here, and the same situation with the spouse. Once you have that breakthrough and you realize, hey, this is what's going on with me. You talk to your spouse about it, and you decide what you're going to do, if you're going to be together, if you're going to separate. And Chris and his spouse have separated. Me and my spouse separated. It's fine. People get divorces and people separate especially when you have something huge like this come up that's life-changing, and it impacts every corner of your existence, right? It's understandable that you say, hey, at this point maybe we should explore new relationships and what have you, because it's a brand new chapter of your existence. And I think that when there's kids involved with that situation, it's best too to say, hey, let's not force this. Let's not force this relationship. Yeah. Well, I've just got to go outside now and get busy. Help to move stuff. We'll be here in about an hour. Love you, Bree and Chad. I'll be listening. Okay, Sandy, you have a good one. Yeah. And you move forward with things. It's this so with fundamentalists, they believe in this concept, and I think it's maybe it's not just fundamentalism. Maybe it's a human concept that we need to break free of. Is this notion that any relationship that you get into, that you should expect it to be a lifetime commitment. I think that's just silly at this point. And I've come away from 2 marriages where that was the expectation, with the understanding that, yeah, it's unrealistic to expect even the most beneficial and healthy relationship to go on forever. So just food for thought. If you get into a relationship, if it lasts, a long time, I consider that successful. If your relationship is, 10, 15, 20, 25 years before you decide, hey, let's go try something different now, I respect that. A lot of people will do that and stay together until their kids grow up or what have you, and then be like, okay, now we're going to go do our own thing. That's fine. We need to stop shaming people about divorces. Divorces are wonderful. Divorces are glorious. The fact that we have no-fault divorce, where everybody can just go and live their best life, is freaking phenomenal. And this demographic pushes back against it. They don't want no-fault divorce. Old Steven Crowder here this week was saying how that they want he's getting a divorce. Steven Crowder, the Family Values, Steven Crowder is getting a divorce, and he's upset that his wife is able to do it because the law allows her to. He's been complaining about it on every corner. Anyway.
Of your spouse who thought that she married a man, and pump yourself full of estrogen, make yourself look sickly and disgusting, and then turn around and divorce her and tell your child that you're being your happiest self, tell the world you're being your happiest self, all the while rejecting your actual self, is so selfish that I can't even come up with words to describe how I personally feel about it. The only word that really comes to my mind is grotesque. It's reprehensible that you would do that to a woman. It's reprehensible that any man would say that he is a woman, dress like a woman, and insult the entire group of women that live in this.
How is it an insult to include more women? You're so weird, Matt. How is it an insult? Stop being weird.
Planet.
Do you mean they drew you so well? It looks just like you.
Oh, this is someone who took a still of Mr. Beast and made like slowed it way down and put like music like he was insulted or something by this. It's really weird.
Jimmy, how did fan art? This is what we were looking for. Be brave, be honest, be kind, Mr. Beast. That is my tagline.
But of course he says that he's going to be his happiest self for his son. But he's going to castrate himself and no longer be a father figure.
Did Chris say he was going to get he was going for bottom surgery? I hadn't heard that yet. I don't know that Chris Tyson has any intentions of getting bottom surgery.
Something that every child needs. Look, every child needs a dad. They don't need 2 moms. They don't need...
Oh, whatever. I've known lots of people that were raised by 2 moms that turned out fantastic. Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
2 dads. They need a mom and a dad to create a balance in the home. Somebody tweeted and said that there's a father figure that the kid won't ever be able to look up to.
Why not? Someone who took their health seriously and said, you know what, I'm going to take care of myself and move forward. Oh, Captive Death says, looks like a stomach bug is going around the area. And look at the trees, Nitty and I got hit. Take care. Are y'all like stuck in the bathroom? Ew. That's gross. I hope you get better. Hope everybody gets better. Wanting someone to remain married against their will is imprisonment. That's because marriage, the whole concept of marriage, is based on archaic property rights to own a woman. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of marriage anymore. I was never really a big fan of it. My partners always were, but yeah. So I think having two healthy, happy parents is better than having one parent trying to pretend to fill a role that they can't fill, and a societal role that they can't fill, and feeling.
And frankly, I could not agree with that more. You've stripped away your fatherhood to try to replace the child's mother. I mean, how selfish. How disgusting.
No one's replacing anybody. Two mothers can raise a child. You are insulting a huge demographic of not just the same-sex couples who raise the children, but the children raised by same-sex couples who are healthy and happy.
That you would do that to your own wife. See, this decision to become trans not only affects you, it affects your wife, it affects your child. How is the child going to feel every day when he has to wake up to two moms?
I don't know. I have, again, friends who have two moms. Lesbian and gay couple friends that have kids. So everybody seems fine. You're the weird one here, Matt.
It's disgusting the fact that they are
You
involving
and,
children in this.
What is this? This is something Go Boom or some crap like that. That's her channel name. And I don't remember. I'm trying to see if I can find her information here, but no, I'm not going to worry about it. She's actually a big channel, but I don't really care.
Especially
if somebody in my family decided to castrate themselves, leave their spouse.
No one's getting castrated. What are you talking about? See, this is the thing. Matt Powell doesn't even understand how gender surgeries sex transitional sex surgeries work. What is done, because they don't castrate you or take away your ability to have an orgasm or any of those fun things like you've been told. That's just not a standard part of the package. Can that happen? Yeah, there's lots of surgeries and medications that may impact your sexual function. It is in fact something that does indeed happen with a lot of medications. I don't often talk about this, but I work in the medical field, and medication side effects are something I do every day in my job. I get sick of looking at medication side effects. And if you think that the side effects from the medications that we prescribe for gender transition, the estrogen and testosterone, or even things like progesterone and things along those lines, that Lupron and such, do you think that those have risky side effects? Then you have no idea what risky side effects look like from medications that I could probably find in your medicine cabinet right now that are substantially more dangerous for you and have a list of adverse side effects 3 times as long as any pharmaceutical gender transition. And the same thing goes with elective surgeries on genitalia, which we are not even doing when it comes to children. We're doing on adults. And I've known plenty of people on both sides of that, transitioning male to female, transitioning female to male, who retain very pleasant sexual function. So that requires that they don't castrate or in any other way impede upon sexual function as much as possible. Yes, obviously it does happen. It does happen with any kind of elective surgery on genitalia, which these are the gender affirming sexual transition surgeries aren't even the most common type of genital surgeries that are performed on adults or children. There are a myriad of other common procedures that take place on a daily basis that augment or in other ways cut into and alter the state of your genitalia and or your reproductive process. Happens every day, all day. So please stop with the breeding fetish nonsense. We are tired of hearing about it. People have been electively altering their genitalia ever since elective what we call, I guess, plastic surgeries have been a thing. But that's not even the thing. The bottom line here is that most surgeries that take place on this region of the body and augment this region of the body are done to prevent cancer. Like almost all of these procedures that we do to help with gender affirming care were initially created to help cancer patients in all the way that we route our surgical tools inside someone's body, to what types of medication that we give them when these things are being affected. It's all based on oncology of all things. So please fuck off with your self-righteous indignation. These are normal things that we do every day for everybody else. You're just wanting to deny them to trans people because you're a bigot.
Become a second mother to the child that they have, and play this game of charades and pump themselves full of estrogen, I would immediately condemn it, because that's what a true friend would do.
So someone who says, hey, my body's producing a level of testosterone that I'm not comfortable with, it's causing mental health distress and biological distress. Doctor, can you give me something to help me mitigate these symptoms? And they give you estrogen. That is them pumping your body full of drugs, pumping your body full of hormones for your own personal health. Cis women do that. Cis men do that. What are you talking about?
I would immediately stand up and say, no, that's not a good idea. Don't do that. But for Mr. Beast to get up and say, I support this. I condone this. This is normal. What kind of a friend are you if you're going to say something like that? That's not friendship. That's what we call hate. And lies.
No, that is friendship. What you're talking about doing to your friends is what's called hate.
Are built on hate. Truth is built on love. If you were honest with him, if you told him that he's not something that he claims to be, which is a woman, and if you'd be honest...
How do you know he's not a woman? Matt, I don't think you even know what a woman is. You think a woman is a breeding role, someone who produces eggs and makes babies. That's what your idea of a woman is. It's super gross. You'll say adult human female, but when you say female, that's the sex role, right? If you can reduce a woman to adult, that's arbitrary regionally, but someone between the ages of 16 to 21 is generally when at some point there we consider a person an adult. Human, we're all humans, it's our species, that's fine, Homo sapien. If you want to extend it to genera, I'm okay with that, which is Homo habilis, and from Homo habilis to Homo floresiensis to Neanderthalensis and all those good things. You want to extend it to that? So yeah, 1825, member of the genus Homo, and then female is the reproductive role. That's the reproduction. That's the production of the eggs. That's the ovaries and all that jazz. So you want to reduce a woman to a person of a certain age, of a certain genus that fills a specific reproductive role. I disagree with that. I don't think that that's how we function as a society. I don't think that that's how we've ever used woman. I think it's generally about the way you express yourself and the role that you fill in the society and environment that you live in. So you someone who leans towards the more feminine side of the the gender spectrum, if you will, would be a woman. But Matt wants to reduce it, much like Matt Walsh, to a reproductive role. I am much, much more than whether I produce eggs or sperm, or whether I can squeeze a baby out or just squeeze the ingredients out. It doesn't make a difference to the way I interact with the world around me, and it should not make a difference the way that you engage with me. You're not looking at my genitals. You're not breeding me. And that's not what you go off of when you decide what a woman is. You are not looking at any woman's genitals or chromosomes or any of that information when you address her in a public square. So no, we have never based womanhood on being female. It's just not a thing. It's never been based on female. So that's debunked. Over. Sorry.
With him and tell him that he should not pump himself full of estrogen and mutilate his body. That would be the loving thing to do.
What mutilation has he done? Has Chris Tyson mutilated his body in some way that I missed? So far he's just taking hormones.
But to sit back and just watch your friend destroy his existence and destroy his wife and child in the process.
No one's being destroyed. Divorces are good. Couples being forced to stay together in unhappy marriages is wrong. You expecting your wife to not be able to leave you if she realizes that you're a terrible, awful human, you want her to be forced to stay with you.
That's really sad.
Is that hey, someone look this up. I'm kind of curious. Is like when you compare Alabama and Michigan, are they both no-fault divorce states? So I'm wondering if Mr. Powell didn't drag his wife back to Michigan so she can divorce him.
Poor wife. She's not even afforded the dignity of her grief. Because if she says anything, she's going to be accused of being transphobic.
His son is wearing high heels, and he says Tucker chose to slay this morning.
Yeah, because the kid was wearing... Again, these people don't understand, like, children at all. Think of the children people have never been around children. They don't understand what children enjoy, what children do, how children behave. And they think that, that children should be following some kind of gender rules. Oh my gosh, I have whole photo albums of me and every one of my cousins dressing in all sorts of crazy costumes and silly stuff like that. That's what people do. That's what children do. And these... I know Matt has a kid, though, doesn't he? I guess it's a baby. Maybe he doesn't know.
I think there's just something really wrong about this. Okay? There's something really wrong about this.
Chris also...
And keep in mind that this is also a temporal thing, right? This is a matter of time period. Men wearing dresses, for instance, was not a problem even just a couple decades ago. Children, especially, they didn't have gendered clothing. They didn't have gendered outfits. Boys and girls wore dresses until they were about 2 to 4 years old. I have pictures of my grandpa in a dress. It was the normal way to dress a baby back then, just decades ago. And if you look further back in history, men have always, sorry, I shouldn't say men have always. Women have not always been the most flamboyant sex or gender or whatever you want, however Matt wants to define it. I'm not sure what language I should use here to get my point across to these people, but whether a baby was born with a penis or vagina really did not matter at all. You know what the reason was, and sometimes they didn't even give them a name. The further back you go, they wouldn't even give the kids a name because the mortality rate was so high. But yeah, you go to Scotland and you're going to lose your fucking mind because every man you see is going to be wearing a skirt. Actually, I saw a guy wearing a kilt at the grocery store today here in Illinois. So yeah, it's normal. And your ideas of what clothes go to what gender are ridiculous. This is why Florida's bill that they passed is moronic, because clothing in general changes over time. Style changes. What was a man's style 15 years ago may be a woman's style today. What was a woman's style 25 years ago may be a man's style today. It's so silly. Short shorts used to be for boys. Now girls only wear short shorts. Heels, yeah, like Tsunami was saying. It's these things are subjective and temporal.
In response to the criticism that he received, sent out some pretty nasty tweets about the Bible. He said that the Bible is a fairy tale, it's a fake book, and that Christianity is...
Yep, the Bible is a fairy tale, that's true. As far as what criteria something would need to meet to be a fairy tale, I think that the Bible has checked most of the boxes. It has magic, has talking animals, has supernatural beings that perform spells and magical events that take place. Yeah, the Bible pretty well does fit fairy tale as a narrative. I don't see why that would be a problem. It's like just corporate or comports with reality.
Blankety blank. But then he also went on to say something much more serious. He said, I did also hate seeing the hate for me turned into general transphobia, so I'm trying to make it known. Make fun of me all you want, but mess with the trans homies and, well, and it shows a picture of a gun, an emoji of a gun.
Well, as far as that goes, yeah, I don't encourage violence against anybody, but the requesting that trans people would arm themselves and protect themselves is kind of a good message at this point in time. I actually have purchased just in the last couple of weeks here. Where'd I put it? Oh, that's not going to help if I get jumped on the street, me having to dig in my purse to find it. I bought a pepper spray here recently. Just things are getting scary for us. So, yeah, we have to protect ourselves, people. So, protect yourself. Do it legally, but, you know, it's going to... Sorry, my headphones are messing up my ponytail. Oh, there we go. Anyway, we have to protect ourselves.
This is just violent, and I think especially this is in bad taste after the shooting that just happened at that Christian school.
Chris Tyson.
Weren't you guys posing with guns and Christmas cards and whatnot? So when white men kill people with guns, the white men posing with their family with all their guns for Christmas cards is not problematic. But when someone says, hey, yeah, say what you want about me, but you go start going after trans people, I gotta warn you, they're armed. It's problematic. Whatever.
And is a creeper. Why do you think it is that he was strapping high heels onto his 2-year-old son? It's because
I think he said his son chose those shoes. You let your kids dress in silly outfits on days they don't have school and stuff.
Predator. That's why.
He's just a
He's
normal
not a
guy.
What the actual? He's not. What have you got that shows that Chris Tyson is a predator? You sick little twerp. God, I'm so sick of Matt Powell calling people predators with no grounding at all. He just thinks that, oh, if you're trans, if you're gay, you're a predator. End of story. Welcome to my one lady or one woman dumpster fire.
And changes himself into this.
And
this is being celebrated. This is sad. This tweet says, I still can't get over the fact that God has given this man everything 90% of other men would wish for. Money, a beautiful wife, and a healthy child. Yet he leaves it all and decides to delve into the sexual degeneracy pipeline. God has forsaken this man. He shall.
There's no such thing as God or sexual degeneracy pipelines. What do you mean when you say degeneracy? These people will mean anything that's deviating from missionary, reproductive, 2-minute long sex. Anything longer than it takes to ejaculate is vice to these people, and that they should be in a single relationship where they repeatedly impregnate their spouse, produce offspring, and work. So your job, they want the man to go to work 10 to 16 hours, come home from work, eat dinner, have sex, go to sleep, get up, go to work. That's the man's life. The woman's life is to be pregnant, take care of the home, take care of all the children. That's what they want. That's their ideal. Anything that deviates from that is degeneracy. So even if you swap out dad in this situation for trans mom, that's degeneracy. If you swap out dad for trans man, that's degeneracy. If you swap out mom for lesbian other mom, that's degeneracy. It has to be this way. It has to be a masculine male and a feminine female. And that's all they will accept. Anything that deviates from that is going to be called degeneracy, and they're going to, oh my God, they're just going to be disgusted by it.
I'll regret it all one day.
What Chris Tyson...
Because if you want to deviate from that and not be degeneracy, what you have to do is you need to have somebody in your life that's in secret and not tell your spouse about it. If you want to have homosexual relationships, it's fine to do that. But if you want to do it to these people, what your expectation is that you are supposed to keep it secret from your spouse and your family. You're supposed to do it pretend like you're at work or doing something important while you're doing it, and having this secret non-conventional deviation from their non-degenerate lifestyle in secret, and then you have to go to church and complain and pray to God and say and rally against it. And the expectation from God of you at that point is, since you fell to this vice, since this is a vice that you suffer from, well, even if you just think about wanting to do this, if it's a vice that you suffer from, then you are the one that is expected to rally against it. It's something you struggle with yourself, and God sees you struggling with it, and he wants to make sure that you're fighting back as hard as you can. That is why people like this are secretly the same. It's the same demographic. The harder they push against this is because they feel guilty, because that's the expectation, to remain non-degenerate. If you have these feelings, if you like to dress up like a girl and you have XY chromosomes, if you like to have sex with someone with the same chromosomes as you're supposed to feel bad about it, keep it secret, and you're supposed to fight against it. If you're not doing that, you're a degenerate. So they're proving to the world that they're not degenerate because they have those feelings too, and they're fighting against it. What's wrong with you? Why are you not fighting against it too? You're a degenerate. That's the bottom line. I've been on lots of tangents in this stream. Sorry, guys.
Mason is going through right now is a picture of something that some people do, in fact, go through, many of which are so dark. Many people in this movement are so gross.
Yes, this looks so dark, doesn't it? Does that look dark to you guys?
Rejected the word of God so much. They've rejected reality so much. They've rejected the truth. They hear the word of God, reject it, reject it, reject it.
We hear that, again, like you said, like Chris Tyson said in that slide before, if the fairy tales that you tell us about God, we're not convinced by them. And it's not just the LGBTQ. I think most of my live chat is cis people. I think I have some tokens, not really tokens, because, this is mostly an LGBTQ fam here. But besides like Stephanie and Ring, I think everybody else out there is pretty well cis. And they are agreeing with us and not you. So why haven't they been given over to the reprobate mind?
And God finally says, my spirit will not always strive with man. That is why certain people become trans. It's not just because of a mental disorder. That can be part of it.
You're saying God makes kids trans. That's creepy. Your God's a bad God.
But many times, I believe that it's from rejecting the Lord Jesus Christ. When you hear the message of the cross, when you hear the message of truth, when you hear what God's word said about there being only male and female, and you reject that message, God finally says, you know what? I'll give you over to a reprobate mind. I'll give you over to vile affections. That's what happened to Chris.
Vile affections. Loving someone is vile affections. Loving yourself is vile affections. That's what I'm working on. I think that's what Chris is working on too. I'm actually getting, look at me, I'm getting there. I am so close to being the woman I want to be. Every day I get a little bit closer. So, to a woman I can love and express, one that expresses who I am on the inside.
That's what happens to many people because they hate the truth. This is why they nailed Jesus Christ.
Because Jesus Christ was trans. This is true. Jesus existed outside of time and space. As part of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, he was the Son. And he had no biological gender because he was a spirit, right? But he was a he for some reason. So, if Jesus wasn't a man with an XY chromosome and a penis and testicles with secondary male characteristics, if Jesus was not that before, then he was incarnated through the Virgin Mary via miraculous addition of a Y chromosome if he was actually born in the body of a male. Then he transitioned from spirit to human man. Jesus is trans. Now, if you want to go the biological route on that, say that Jesus was born to a virgin with no magic, just that God's will, then Jesus was a trans woman with an XX chromosome and probably did not express male genitalia. Either way, Jesus is definitely trans according to Scripture. So that's probably why, and it does seem like that's why he was crucified. The evidence is there that he was crucified because he claimed to be trans, that he was an incarnation, he was trans of
to the cross. It was because they hated the truth so much. And Jesus was filled with love. Jesus never...
They hated that Jesus was this trans individual saying, hey, you know what? I was not born in the body of a man, but, or I was not, I am not a man, but I have transitioned into the body of a man to bring you this message. So Jesus transitioned to bring his message to society. Jesus transitioned into a man to be here with us. And they crucified him for it. All he wanted to do was love them and teach them that it doesn't matter if you were born this way, or however you were born. What matters is who you truly are.
Did any wrong. The Bible says that he went as a lamb to the slaughter. The Bible says that he had no sin. The Bible says that he was tempted at all points, like as we are, yet without sin. Jesus was...
Yep, they tried to get him to deny his trans identity, and Jesus stood fast by it.
Perfect, lived a perfect life,
lived a
was
perfect
crucified
life. Lived a perfect life as a trans man, was crucified for
people who hated the truth.
By people who hated the truth.
Because he is the truth.
Because he was living his truth as a trans man.
Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and that no man cometh unto the Father but by me.
Right. No man comes unto the Father except for through this trans man.
only way to be saved is through Christ. And to reject that message when you hear it, and you reject it,
like Matt does. Matt rejects Jesus' transness.
Spirit will get farther and farther from you.
Which is why it leads him down this hateful path where he calls for genocide, because he rejects Jesus' trans message.
And before long, there will come a point where it's too late.
Right.
This
too
is
late.
why
it
Jesus
may be too
said
late for you, Matt.
That
Maybe.
today is the day of salvation. Today.
Accept
Don't
trans
wait till
Jesus
tomorrow.
into your heart.
Don't say, well, I'll accept the truth in a week from now.
Accept trans Jesus now, Matt.
Jesus
Not a week
said
from now.
that today is the day of salvation.
Tweet says, I still can't get over the fact that God has given this man everything 90% of other men would wish for: money, a beautiful wife, and a healthy child, yet he leaves it all of this behind and decides to delve into the sexual degeneracy pipeline.
It's not sexual. Being trans is not a sexual thing. It's an identity thing.
God has forsaken this man. He shall regret it all one day.
For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Yes, that's John 3:17 from the King James Version, talking about how God had his Son transition to a man to come save the world. You hate pianos now? Yeah, Matt doesn't have too much original ideas, does he? But yeah, that was Matt Powell's latest transphobic rant. Same as always. No substance. Just feelies. Just feelings. All right. That actually was the timing on that was perfect. So if you would left to avoid listening to the trans topic stuff, you are back just in time for us to move over into the last segment of the show, which is going to be some HiveScience, where we have, we have some strange science, and we have a paleo peek. So I'll see you guys over there. I'll see you guys over there. I'll see you guys over there. All right, thank you for sticking with me, Hive. We are here for the final segment of the show. But before I dive into that, looks like I have some things to address really quick here, because I didn't get these squeezed into the beginning of the show, and I definitely want to mention them. First of all, the spiders, that is a mix of videos from Australia and from North America, so different species, but doing the same thing, covering the world in a wondrous web, usually in response to floods or heavy rain. They basically make an elevated carpet to walk on. We can't walk on it though, but because you can see from the video, lots of other little creepy crawlies tend to benefit from it. Yeah, and this week was there was National Hyena Day. Was that yesterday? It was either the 27th or 28th. 28th is also Arbor Day, so we had Arbor Day. So I don't have property right now to plant a tree on, which is unfortunate, but I might maybe plant a tree this weekend at my mom's or something if I can swing it. If I do, I'll post pics. I don't have any plans to at this time though, so we'll see what happens. Now, let's see. As far as things go, I know that some of you at least were able to see my live stream last night or yesterday afternoon. Actually, it's not super early. It was like 2:30 or so. So it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday afternoon for most of you in the U.S. I did a stream where I said I was accepting whatever challenge, debate challenge from Kent Hovind, because it was brought to my attention again that he had made a video saying that that I was afraid to debate him, which is just not the case at all. Or that I refused to debate him. I've never been given the platform. Me and Donnie have bounced back ideas back and forth about it. He has a limited idea what he can create. I think that fossil evidence is a fine topic to engage him with, and I'm going to see if I can get that set up. So watch for that. I will be on Standing for Truth channel, but I did request from the creationist organization that I'm on good terms with, which is Creation Research, which is John Mackey and Joe Hubbard are the main people there, but they also have Diane and Sammy Jenkins, a different Sammy Jenkins than the Australian Sammy Jenkins. This is a British Sammy Jenkins. The British Sammy Jenkins is a younger creationist. So keep that in line. But me and Sam have made friends, and I would like if him to be the moderator as opposed to like praise or somebody. Now, when it comes to debates, that's not the only thing I have on the table right now. I know it's been a long time since I debated, but I've been itching to debate about some stuff. I also have been challenged to a debate with Mark Reed, who we see in the live chat here. Me and Mark are wanting to debate on some platform, maybe on Amy's, somewhere, where we can have a good back and forth on whether or not animals have morality. That should be a fun debate. Should be a good educational process, if anything. And then when we get this ironed out, I may have a debate about gender identity, but we'll see what happens with that. I don't know yet whether or not that one's going to pan out. So, but we'll see. It is not necessarily something I'm ready to announce yet, so I'm not going to say anything specific about that. I keep getting hairs tangled in my eyelashes. It's driving me crazy. Ding bangs. I wish they were just a little bit shorter, but that's all right. I guess I could trim them back, but I don't trust myself. I want them actually just back to the length of the wave here, like in the front that goes back in this section here that hangs down underneath it. I just want it gone, so I might trim this up. Anyway, there's that. And I'll so watch for announcements for me being in debates. If I do debates, obviously I will mirror them here, so that that you guys can participate as well in a chat. I don't know if I'm going to mirror them live. I will see if that's something that Donnie would be okay with. I would certainly love to have that stream live in the from the Hive as well as a Sting segment. Yeah, are you confused about the Sam Jenkins thing? Because there's two. Yeah, Sam Jenkins is he's younger than Sammy, than our disgruntled Rue Sammy. 420 atheist. He's younger. Sam Jenkins is younger than him. He's British, and he's a younger creationist. There's that. Yeah, they're not too much. They don't have too much in common. Anyway, so that's a thing. Also, on a side note, I've been using the channel membership box, all the channel revenue to buy new things. And if you missed this as well, we did get the Holy Spirit board, communicate directly with Jesus Christ. So we did get this, and we watched the commercial from Holy Spirit Games. So yes, we got that, and now bringing that to better. Bringing that to better when I go down there. So if you're going to be at better, that's a good reason to come. If you want to be able to communicate directly with Jesus. We also got these little cuties, which are going to be some beautiful painted lady butterflies when they mature. There's 5 in each thing. I got 2. There's another one over here. I got 2 of them. So look forward to that. Butterflies coming. Here in about a week, they will all have crystallized. So next Life from the Hive, they should be in little chrysalises hanging from the ceiling. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. You like my sleeves? Yeah, I'm like a pirate. See, arr. I have a bandana that I wear with this outfit a lot too, because I like the way it looks. I do like the pirate aesthetics. I'm actually still wearing my jammy pants, but you guys can't see that. You can't even tell I'm wearing pants at all. Could be completely bottomless. All right, who's ready for some strange science? I'm stealing that from Nitty. That's how I'm gonna start introducing strange science now. Nitty, thank you. We're gonna say, who's ready for some strange science? Then I'm going to flip it on over. All right, let's have a look here. Look who we got. These are our favorite little guys, and I've been collecting these all week for my vivariums to replenish my populations. All I do is go out and dig in the leaf litter around my property that I'm renting. And there are dozens of these little guys just hiding there in the leaf litter. I bring them on in and put them in my vivarium so that they can start consuming and processing the waste from my roaches and beetles into arable soil. They just help make the environment self-sustaining. These small oval-bodied animals called roly-polies are also known as ball bugs. I've never called them ball bugs. We did call them roly-polies. But the important thing is they eliminate heavy metals from the earth, so don't hurt them. They are characterized by their defense mechanism, which, when feeling danger, twist in such a way that they manage to form an almost perfect ball. The most important thing that they do The most important thing is that they do not represent any danger to humans, but they do have a positive impact on the environment. These little ones are not even bugs. The roly-polies are characterized as crustaceans, isopods actually, which is a group of crustaceans, which brings creatures like crabs closer. But after hundreds of years of evolution, they have become accustomed to living underground. It is very common that you find them in humid places. That is where they find the greatest nutrients. If at any time you thought about ending the ones in your garden, it is better to consider it since, excuse me, it is better to consider it since they do an extraordinary job for your garden. The good thing is that these animals feed on the remains of plants. In addition, they clean the earth of heavy metals. They consume lead, cadmium, arsenic, copper, and zinc, leaving them highly capable of resisting any adverse conditions. Other important benefits of these animal I keep bouncing all over the place. About this time of the show, I lose my ability to read. I'm so sorry. Other important benefits that these animals leave is leaving the soil free of contaminants. So it is vitally important that you try to keep it as close to your garden and orchard as possible. It is advisable to create an optimal space for its development, and it can be done by placing organic matter in the soil. That will keep them busy and focused on caring for the soil of harmful food. So that's like talking about, like, you know, potato skins and things like that. Just throw them out in your garden instead of dumping them in the trash can. That kind of stuff makes a definite impact. Yes, that is what we call a wood louse killed by Bigfoot. And thank you for popping in. There is a wood louse eating spider, a big red one with big fangs. They are super cool and definitely some of the coolest chelicera of modern Arania. All right, so that was our strange science, talking about the little isopods, wood louse, roly-polies, ball bugs, whatever you want to call them. They are beneficial for the soil, so please do not kill them. They also come in a cute rubber ducky form, so I wish I could get some of those for the hive, but they're super expensive. But maybe sometime in the near future, we'll see. All right, and thank you for sticking with me through HiveScience. If you're watching this on Monday, please remember to please remember to take care, be kind, and we will see you next time. Now for my live from the Hive audience, who is ready for some Paleo Peak? Today in Paleo Peak, we are looking at a classic, the Tong Child. We are on Human Origins .si.education. We're just going to talk fairly briefly about the Tong Child because I had popped into Grayson and Seaside's Grayson from Base Theory and Seaside Science's debate on Standing for Truth's channel recently, and this was a character that came up, and I was in the side chat, and I came to find out that not everybody knows the terrible, terrible fate that this child Australopithecine has met. Let's read up though. This is from the Tong Republic in South Africa. It was discovered in 1924 by Raymond Dart via local quarrymen. It's about 2.8 million years old. Australopithecine africanus. We got a 3D scan of it. When this 3-year-old child was found in 1924, it was among the first early human fossils to be found in Africa, and the first early human fossil discovered to draw major attention to this region as a place of origin of the human family tree. Still, it took over 20 years after that before scientists accepted the importance of Africa as a major source of human evolution. The Tong Child's fossilized anatomy represented the first time researchers saw evidence of early human upright, two-legged walking with bipedal. The evidence was the position of the Tong Child's foramen magnum, or the hole through which the spinal cord connected with the brain. This spinal cord hole is positioned towards the front of the Tong Child's skull, a characteristic associated with bipedal locomotion. This bipedal adaptation allows the head to balance atop the neck, while contrastingly a four-legged ape has its foramen magnum positioned towards the rear of the head to keep its eyes facing forward when it's on the move. How do we know how old the Tong child's death was at death? The Tong child's first molars had only just begun to erupt through the gums and become visible as teeth, indicating that the fossilized jaw belonged to a child. Closer analysis of dental development, crown formation, and root length has estimated the child's age at death at 3.3 years. How do we know how the Tong child died? This is the part. The Tong child is thought to have been attacked and killed by an eagle. Scientists suspect an eagle killed the Tong child because the puncture marks were found at the bottom of the 3-year-old's eye socket. See the photo below. These marks resemble those made by modern sharp talons and beak that when they attack monkeys in Africa. This is going to be the crowned eagle, the African crowned eagle. Other evidence for the eagle kill hypothesis includes the presence of eggshells at the site and an unusual mixture of animal bones found alongside the Tong child's skull. Most of the bones found were from small animals, including hyrax, rodents, tortoises, lizards, crabs, small antelope, and small baboons, which is uncommon compared with animal bones at other early human sites. Many of these small animal bones have damage resembling that made by modern birds of prey. So basically, this was found in a scrap heap of eagle's nest is what it really comes down to. This is stuff that got thrown out of an eagle's nest, or even maybe the nest was fell down and fossilized itself. But that's how we know what happened, and also the puncture wound on the skull from the talon. This is the Tong child's skull, though. It's pretty cool. It has geodes inside of it, too. It's pretty nifty. But this is a fun, good site. This is the Smithsonian Human Origins site. They have, you can see climate and human evolution, climate effective on human evolution, things like that, where it talks about different scientific topics that correlate to human evolution, like how we developed in correlation to climatic events, survival and adaptation. Let's see, you got different time periods, different doctors, and different species, different fossils. This is a really cool place to go. You can look at individual specific fossil finds from human origins, all in alphabetical order out here, all your favorites, all the best known early human fossils. Looking for, you won't find Piltdown Man in here though. Yeah, you can drop down, select species. We can pull up like Artie. Maybe Artipithecus ramidus. There we go. Just things like that, yeah. So pretty cool. There's Bodo. Anyway, so if you haven't been out here and you're interested in human evolution, this is a great place to start for amateurs. And yeah, so this has been Paleo Peak. So I hope you enjoyed that, and please remember to hit the like and subscribe, and keep look out for new fossil information that I'm going to bring forward. Sometimes I'll bring something new, sometimes I'll bring something classic like this we had today with the Tong child. So thank you for joining us in the Hive tonight, and we'll see you next time. Take care, be kind. All right, now for my live audience, also thank you for joining me. We had a great show. We had Indrid Cold, then we had Transphobic Powell, then we had some roly-polies, and we finished up with a child-stealing eagle. So if you have any commentary on any of these topics, comments are down below. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Evolution. There are moments when we cannot believe that what is happening is really true. Pinch yourself and you may find out that it is.
How can you not believe in evolution?
Yeah, tell them that you believe in evolution.
Crazy. I don't know if I can take much more.
The condition of retrogradation is contrary or inharmonious to the regular direction of actual movement in the zodiac.
The film which you are about to see is an account of the tragedy which befell a group of 5 youths. For them, an idyllic summer afternoon drive became a nightmare. It is all the more tragic in that they were young. But had they lived very, very long lives, they could not have expected, nor would they have wished to see as much of the mad and macabre as they were to see that day. The events of that day were to lead to the discovery of one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history.